globalism, just psychopathic globalism, corporate fascism. This is all America right at the moment, as far as culture and policy goes. That's what's going on, and one of the key things here, and this concerns Mgtow and men, but it's so actually, before I even bring it up, why? Tell me this: why are all these female teachers going to prison for having sex with their students? Why is it that there is an entire culture in Japan that glorifies high school girls? Why is one of the most top searched porn categories barely legal? And the list goes on. Hebephilia. What is the reason that that people are so averse to hebephilia? So now, first of all, this is a globalist agenda, and that's because it's a form of population control, which I've mentioned before. But and it's the same reason. I mean, depending on where you go in Asia, because they're just honest and open. The age of consent is as low as 12, and a long time ago in America, when it wasn't a shithole country, you could choose your wife when she was 13 and around that age, and this is now, by today's standards, is considered in America hebephilia, but that's just puritanical nonsense, and Asia is the definitive arbiter here on whether or not that's true, because here's the thing, there is an open acceptance. It is an open acceptance, especially in Japan, of what amounts to hebephilia, where there's an entire porn culture and genre that that depicts girls in high school uniforms, and even and this is the thing, there's so many closeted hebephiles in America who are looking at barely legal, and they're just searching for younger and younger looking teens. There's even some barely legal porn stars who look like they're in their teens, and they're very popular, early teens, and they're very, very popular. And this is the truth. This is nature. See, the thing is that when a girl goes through puberty, she's basically done going through puberty by 14, and sometimes as early as 12. And they start going through puberty, in extreme cases, as young as 5, which is really bizarre. But it's not even uncommon to have them start going through puberty at 8 and end on 12. So, the thing about it is, the culture in America is just completely dishonest, and it's because people are deathly afraid to even approach the topic for fear of being called this or that. And it's toxic. It's truly toxic, because it's a globalist agenda. This is population control, and the reason that it's population control, and this goes into Mgtow, is because by the time a girl is 18, she's virtually, in America, she's virtually unwifeable. You cannot marry a girl who is 18. She has been railed so many times by, if she's hot, then by all the football team, and it's done for. You're left with damaged goods. She's literally got the mentality of a call girl, and it's true. If you've been in the pickup game, you know that all these women have the same mentality. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's not what they want you to believe it is. And especially if you've been to Asia, you fully understand female nature. It's really just out on display, and they embrace it here, and I do too. But America doesn't, and America doesn't embrace male nature either. It demonizes it and female nature, and tries to bury it under puritanical, insane ideas, and then call it hebephilia and things like this. And here's the truth. People say, "Oh, well, those kids, they don't actually want to have sex." I'll tell you what. When I was 12, I was ready to have sex. I was ready. I was absolutely as 100% ready as I am today. It was the only thing that was on my mind. It's all I wanted to do, and I probably at that time would have killed someone to have my teacher molest me. So, molest. So this thing about hebephilia is just absurd, and it's contributing to the anti-marriage crisis. Um, you know, it would be one thing um, to look at marriage, you know, uh, even at that young age, even if you could pick a wife, and that's really what we're talking about when we're talking about hebephilia. We're talking about choosing a wife, and that's been denied to generation after generation now, because and as our fathers know, and we know even better than our fathers, uh, the women that come to you after the age of 18 are not wife material. And now, Japan is so enlightened that they've just saw through the whole thing. Now they even I think the age of consent is kind of low in Japan, but their culture is to the point where they're just evolving past women. But we aren't even letting that happen. We're actually just degenerating and stagnating to the point where there's a thing called incels who hate that they can't basically be a pussy worshiper, and this is all gynocentric globalist agenda. They want you to breed with unbreedable women, and because it just makes more slaves. They don't care that everyone's fat. They don't care that they're creating an ugly culture of confused men and just degenerate women who will never ever be able to be a good wife to anyone. And so this is what we're facing. You know, it's anti-nature. It in its very to its very core. And you know, the zealots of this globalist agenda are corporate fascists who say that, oh, it's not a relationship, you're just exercising power if you to have a hebephilic relationship. But what's ironic about that is they worship their corporate masters. They just call anyone and everyone a bum if they can't manage to work 40 hours a week. They're just only obeying their globalist corporate masters, and they're fascist about it. So it's and the irony, of course, is that they're having power flexed on them so intensely. They're being forced into slavery, and they see nothing wrong with that. But if you, as an individual, flex that power in a hebephilic relationship, suddenly you're the fucking devil. And so, you know, we very much live in a world that's ruled by wise people, but populated by fucking idiots, corporate fascists, globalists, and they don't even understand that they're being completely controlled, and and having their population controlled. In the country that I live in now in Asia, the they get married pretty young, and nobody really makes a big deal about it. It's just not a big deal. Age. If the two people, they love each other, or they know, actually, more importantly, this is what they pay attention to. If the man can take care of the woman, they don't care. And that's because they live quite naturally. It's just not a big deal. They just want to know that the man is good enough. And in that way, you've got something very natural, something very traditional, and functional. What's going on in America is not functional. It's a bunch of psychopaths, mostly, corporate fascists, globalists, just dregs, fat whale whores and beta males that are more or less dictating the culture, and it's pathetic and sad. It's a shithole country, and at the moment, you're going to begin seeing the best of the best fleeing regularly from the country. It's going to be, or I should say, the worst of the best, actually. The best of the best are going to rule the country. The worst of the best are just going to leave. So it will look like very much just, draconian rule, because most of these people are really fucking stupid, or they're really fucking rich. And, so it's just going to divide further and further and further, to a point where we're really looking at a slave engine, just, very much more and more looking like plantation dynamics, and all the slaves will become globalist corporate fascists who worship their masters. And that's the future we have to, and their population is going to be controlled because they're farm animals. They're not, they're not being looked at as humans, and in some way they're sort of acting like farm animals too by being so servile. And hebephilia is just one part of this, where they're just literally looking at nature and saying that's evil because they're being told that by their globalist masters. And it's really disgusting and disturbing to witness these narcissistic people who just think they don't think. Actually, that's the thing, is that they don't think. They're only responding to propaganda, and they even throw reason out. I mean, this is the greatest degree of evidence. Is you can basically, like, you can talk about psychopathic murderers who go on like killing sprees, and then you read their comments and they'll say something like, well, I'm glad he's behind bars. He seemed, some of them even have praised Jeffrey. I've seen people praising Jeffrey Dahmer because he was proselytizing on death row and shit. And it's like, you people are fucking disgusting. This is one of the worst people who's ever lived. And then you talk about hebephile teachers or something like this. And the conversation is suddenly literally people justifying torture and vigilantism, and they're just like just very foul. They turn totally just demonic, and it's because they're brainwashed by their globalist corporate masters to be population controlled. And that's exactly what this is about. They just don't want you to be able to pick a wife, and they know that the smart men are not going to pick a wife. They know this. They know that intelligent men will go Mgtow, because when you pick up even an 18-year-old who's been just ran through the fucking football team, she might be the most beautiful one in the high school, but she's fucking done in. There's no way she can pair bond with you, and so you're basically left with the circumstance that, well, then I guess I don't get to have children, or I have to pick, like, basically a freaking ugly virgin girl, like the incel version of a female, just to get decent pair bonding, which is also unviable and untenable, because then you end up in a circumstance where you don't actually have confidence that your child will have success because they're not attractive. And so the whole program is completely ruined for anyone who wants reproductive success. And that's precisely the reason that the globalists have demonized hebephilia and lumped it in with pedophilia, because those are two different issues. And that's one thing that people also don't make a distinction of, and that's quite intentional. They want you to equate pedophilia with hebephilia because if because hebephilia is perfectly normal and natural and justified, but they know that there's something quite disturbing about the other one, and they want you to see it as the same thing, and that's to control the population. And they're doing a really good job at this rate. They will succeed in their goals because people are really quite too stupid to figure this out. They don't want to fight back. They're completely happy being servile, pathetic, sniveling beta males, and just simping to their feminist counterparts. And that's where we live, or that's where you live. It's a shithole country, it's turned. The USA is very, the culture is very much a shithole, and people have no compassion. The way that the homeless are treated in the U.S. is just it's so disgusting. The system is set up to punish homeless people and make their lives worse, and people just, and then the globalists train you to basically spurn them and hate them by saying things like, oh, these are useless, because God forbid someone not be a slave for them, and they put you through hours and hours of paper torture. And if you don't know what paper torture is, it's basically they just overload your life with having to sign documents, sign your name 1,000 times, put the date 1,000 times, remember 97 different numbers, input them daily 47 or 600 fucking times a day. It's paper torture, they just paper torture you, and just to drill it in your head, you are a slave, you are a slave, you are a slave. And that's the culture, in America right now. And so this is what we're really dealing with, and that's population control, keep you busy with mundane, pointless crap that doesn't help anyone except the globalists, and you wind up in hell. You guys live in hell. And I'm so glad I left, but every time I look into the comments about something like this, I'm reminded of just how evil the system is, and and it's just another reason to, because let me tell you, where I live, there is no traffic laws. The police, they just routinely let you go. They're concerned with upholding justice. Basically, here's the thing: the police here, are you a violent, sadistic lunatic? You're going to jail. If not, hey, we're not trying to ruin people's lives, but that's exactly what American police do. They're just trying to throw people in prison because, and it's not the police's fault. It's actually, well, it is a little bit because, but not really. If you look at the Milgram experiments and stuff, it's not really their fault. It's the fault of the lawmakers and politicians and corporations, and most importantly, private prison system, where they make lots of money from throwing people in cages, and all the sheep just think, no, this is justice. We're just living a just. We live in the best country in the world. This makes so much sense. You guys are completely clueless, brainwashed, idiot sheep who have no idea the world that you're living in. You have no idea what it's like outside of the United States, and you'd never want to know because you're brainwashed into believing that the place you live is the best country in the world. I work 4 hours a week, and I love my fucking life. I live so beautifully. I actually, it literally makes me cry sometimes how beautiful my life is, and you guys live in fucking hell, going to your shit job, 70 hours a week, worshiping your corporate masters with your paper torture daily. You guys have no idea, and all you do is just you're just ruminating over your servile nature. You guys are pathetic beta males and uh, feminist hogs, and just really most I'd say a lot are just really gross in America. And part of it's not your fault because you're so heavily brainwashed, but the fact that you resist waking up is really disgusting to me. At least when I was pressed on all these things, I actually started to wake up. What else? And this is and of course the conservatives are no help at all. Again, they're never any help about real issues. Just even on free speech, they only succeed when it comes to Jordan Peterson. On everything else, they fail, like Satanism, etc. The conservatives are complete failures, and they're just, they're coming out saying things like, oh, they're just trying to normalize pedophilia. It's like, no, hebephilia is nature. It's always been nature. You guys just live in a concrete matrix death grid, and it's pure evil, and you worship it, and that's your life. That's how you guys choose to live, and it's sad and pathetic. And to be honest, I mean, I pity so many people who live in America who who recognize that they're in a caste that is no good. They see the caste system, and they know that they're slaves, and it's really sad. I pity those people. I just, if you're watching, I just say, move, just get out of there. It is hard, and they do, because they're looking at sort of, well, we want to make sure we keep all the slaves in, but here's the thing, the one thing about America that's really amazing is that if it's almost like they recognize, the globalists recognize that people like them, someone who thinks a little bit like them, and the system is set up to let those people out. And so, if you're like that, you see all of this because they see it. They run it. So of course they see it. They will let you, you can get out. I'll tell you this: if you're intelligent like me, the greatest thing that America can do for you is give you a passport, and that's not to stay in the country. Okay, listen, passport. So if you see the hell that you're living in America, and you see everything I see, understand you're a slave. They're trying to control you. They're trying to control your population. It is the slave country. It's always been. It's the last country to abolish slavery, and that's by design. And they didn't really abolish it. They just changed it. So just understand, if you're on that path that you see I'm talking about, just leave. Don't let the fucking idiots around you convince you they're normal, because they're not. And this is common in America. There's a phenomena of people just going around and saying these people are normal, and trying to convince you, that you're a freak for your nature. It's like, this is human nature. We have all the evidence in the world for it, And with respect to hebephilia, it's all that barely legal shit. It's all that Japanese culture. It's all the age of consent in other countries. America is a puritanical shithole country as far as the culture goes. Don't be fooled. Don't let them convince you that they're normal. They're not. Okay, so that's all I have to say today. Peace out, Mgtow brothers.